Why wasn't Crackdown 3 at E3 2016, especially when a multiplayer beta was promised back at GDC 2015? As it turns out, the cloud-powered open-world action title has been delayed into 2017 according to Regent Games. The developer noted that Crackdown 3 is a game built for the future with a multiplayer experience that will define what it feels like to play games, and as we continue to work on this, it has become clear that our original timeline of delivering multiplayer to fans this summer, while maintaining the size, scope, and quality of the game, would be challenging. Our top priority is to give gamers an experience that they would have never seen before at a scale never thought possible, and sticking to our original timeline would have compromised that goal. We know that many are looking forward to becoming agents in Crackdown 3, and we are committed to delivering the best experience in 2017. This decision was made with our fans and their gaming experience in mind. The good news is that Crackdown 3 will support the Xbox Play Anywhere initiative, which means you can buy it on Xbox One and receive it on Windows 10, along with playing co-op across both platforms. Insomniac Games' Spider-Man has been in development for quite a while it seems, and will be exclusive to the PlayStation 4. This is according to creative director Brian Intihar, who noted to Jeff Keighley on YouTube Live about some of the features that fans could look forward to. The big surprise of E3 tonight was Resident Evil 7, which A exists and B looks great. A lot of that has to do with the game going back to the series' horror roots after the more action-oriented direction that the last few installments have been taking. Resident Evil 7 is marked by a few things. It's returning to the survival horror roots that made the franchise so popular to begin with, rather than the pioneering third-person shooter over-the-shoulder camera that the seminal Resident Evil 4 adopted, and it appears to be a reboot. Appears to be because it's not. The game is actually set after Resident Evil 6 in modern-day rural America. The game is built using Konami's new RE engine, which was also used to power the PlayStation VR Kitchen demo that was showed off last week. It will be coming to PlayStation 4, yes, but it will also be launching on Xbox One and PC day and date with the PS4 version. Another leak turns out to be true. Playground Games announced Forza Horizon 3, the third game in the incredible arcade racing franchise, which, as rumored, will be taking place in Australia. The new game will include buggies, and as you might suspect from their inclusion, it will have an emphasis on off-road racing. Playground Games also called the open world that they've crafted for this as the biggest, most detailed open world that they have ever created. The game will be an Xbox One Play Anywhere game, which means it will be launching on Xbox One and Windows 10 simultaneously on September 27th this year. The game will have crossplay, including for its campaign, which will support up to 4 players playing simultaneously. Forza Horizon 3's cover car will be the Lamborghini Centenario, and the game is said to have the largest roster that a Forza Horizon game has ever had. I really didn't expect this, but we got to see more of Platinum Games' excellent-seeming Scalebound today during Microsoft's E3 presser after all. Platinum's legendary Hideki Kamiya took the stage to explain how he always wanted to play a video game with dragons and how he's getting to deliver on that dream now. He then proceeded to show off a high-octane, action-packed boss fight, which he explained is the biggest boss fight that Platinum has ever worked on. The game reeked of the typical Kamiya style, and the technical issues from its gameplay debut at Gamescom last year seem to have been largely ironed out too. It's definitely my most anticipated Xbox One exclusive right now. That said, naturally, it will, like all other Microsoft first-party games, be coming to Windows 10 as well. It's slated to launch sometime next year on both platforms. Kojima Productions' Death Stranding was showcased during Sony's E3 presser, and for a teaser of sorts, it contained quite a lot. Speaking to Jeff Keighley on YouTube Live, director Hideo Kojima revealed some new details about the game and explained its odd premise. Essentially, the term Dead Stranding is likened to when whales or dolphins are stranded on beaches, or when people are stranded on islands while alive. So this refers to being stranded while dead, though the title also indicates something from somewhere being stranded in some world. Kojima also said that the setting and protagonist names were secrets. Though Death Stranding features lots of action elements, players will realize how different it is from anything they've experienced before when spending a few hours with the game. Guillermo del Toro is sadly not involved, and no, the Koji Pro mascot Ludens isn't here either. Death Stranding seems to be a ways off from release. An engine hasn't even been chosen, though Kojima has a few options in mind, but we're intrigued. So beyond Good and Evil 2, the oft-delayed adventure platformer is still coming. So says Ubisoft CEO Vis Guillemot while speaking to Jeff Keighley on YouTube Live. Do you believe him? Guillemot noted that it's still on the way. It's something at one point you will see, yes. As for whether that will be sometime soon, he noted that it's difficult to say actually. Mitchell Ansel is working on it, but he's doing 2 games at the same time. It's coming along, but he has to spend more time on it so we can see it faster. It's funny because rumors last year noted that Ansel is currently off the project. Beyond Good and Evil 2 was first showcased in 2008 and revealed the return of someone who looked like former game's protagonist Jade. Gameplay footage will leak the next year showing Jade actually outrunning authorities throughout a city. From there, Beyond Good and Evil 2 was delayed indefinitely, but maybe it could actually be out in our lifetimes? Here's hoping. It's been a long time coming, so long in fact that it became a running joke and an emblem for everything that was wrong with Sony's first-party game development. It became a poster boy for vaporware, and at some point everyone lost hope that it would ever actually be releasing. But now, 7 years after it was originally announced, and 10 years after the launch of Shadow of the Colossus on the PS2, The Last Guardian will be releasing this year on October 25th, Sony announced at their E3 show today. Ubisoft unveiled a new IP during its E3 presser, Steep, a winter sports title which takes to the extreme in more ways than one. Players can use wingsuits, snowboards, paragliders, and skis to race down the Alps and Alaska. It's a lot more social than it sounds for what's essentially a death-defying activity. Steep invites players to share in the experience with their friends, as you create custom lines and challenge your friends to beat them. You can record your best moments or just the times where you wipe out because your misery is always someone else's entertainment. A variety of other challenges exist to help prove your skill, and it's possible to share replays of your mastery on social media. Steep features a number of different paths to explore in its massive mountainside. At Jeff Keighley's show today, BioWare's Mac Walter showed up to talk more about the perennially teased but never quite shown Mass Effect Andromeda. And there, talking to Keighley, he discussed some things about the highly anticipated upcoming game, which led to us learning a few new things about the game than we had known before. Chief among these were details about the game's protagonist. Walter confirmed that the protagonist's name in this game will be Ryder, and that Ryder may either be female or male. Interestingly enough, he also hinted at something intriguing, there being a family of Ryders, essentially, which would somehow tie into the game's story, and which might also reflect each player's playstyle, based on which Ryder they picked. The exact meaning of this was not clear, but it sounds like BioWare are approaching the age-old convention of the protagonist quite differently this time around. Finally, they also confirmed yet again that the game is in the final stretch of development, which is something far less people believe now than they did until yesterday, with the game's third consecutive no-show at E3 prompted speculation that all might not be well with its development as BioWare or EA would have us to believe. But no, BioWare are adamant that the game is coming along well, and that it will meet its release date. We can see that happening, of course, though it does lead one to question why they're being so secretive with the game then. It's been close to 5 years since The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim was launched, and later this year Bethesda will bring the classic title to current-gen consoles and PC in the form of a remastered edition. However, there's still no confirmation of the next entry in the long-running series, but today, we finally got to hear about it in an interview with Todd Howard on YouTube Gaming. This is like the elephant in the room when we talk about anything, and in these moments to tell the fans, of course we are. It's something we love, but it's a very long way off. I could figure and explain the game to you, and you would say that sounds like you don't even have the technology. How long is that going to take? So it's going to take a lot of time about what we have in mind for that game, and we actually have 2 other large projects that we are also doing that are bigger than anything we have done. People are probably going to hear more about those even before The Elder Scrolls VI, Howard stated. Furthermore, Howard stated that they won't rush the game, but at this point, they don't necessarily have the tech and the time for the game. We think very longer term. We're not a developer that will rush something like this out any of our games, so when you think what is the future of that kind of game, we have a pretty good idea of what it would be that will take the technology and time that we don't necessarily have right now. Howard also stated that the other 2 big projects are a ways off, and they are in parallel development. The Xbox One S makes several changes with its port layout, but the most important change is the omission of a dedicated Kinect port on the back of the console. This is already present on the Xbox One, and its absence apparently makes the console smaller. Don't worry, Kinect aficionados. The console will still support the motion camera, but you'll need a standalone adapter for $50 to make it work. The good news is that those who own a Kinect can pick up an adapter for free if they buy an Xbox One S. Simply provide proof that you own one, and you're good. If you also want that pretty looking vertical stand that's been making the rounds in promo pictures, you'll need to splurge an additional $20.
We hope you've enjoyed this video, so please consider subscribing to our channel. We do original content, reviews, graphics comparison, and much more, and try to upload a video every day. Thank you very much for checking us out.